Life was just normal, peaceful, I thought, until David, my husband, just waltzed in with some woman and said, "Chloe's moving in." Can you believe that? Right into our home, like it was nothing, like I was invisible. My stomach dropped, then twisted into this awful knot, and that's when I knew things were never going to be simple again. Before we continue, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? I'd love to know. So, there I was, Alara, standing in my own living room, just a normal Tuesday afternoon, thinking about what to make for dinner. David was supposed to be home soon from his business trip, and I had been planning a nice, quiet evening. We'd been married for 15 years, and things felt settled, comfortable. Our house, a lovely 2-story place with a big, green backyard in Maple Creek, was full of memories. My small art studio in the spare room, the oak tree David planted when we first moved in. I ran my little handmade jewelry business from home, Alara's Gems, and it was doing really well. We had a good life, or so I thought. Then, the front door opened and David walked in. He wasn't alone. A woman with bright red hair and a smile that seemed a little too wide was right behind him. She was holding a small suitcase, like she was just coming for a visit. But the way David looked at her, then at me, that wasn't a visiting friend look. My insides immediately felt cold, like someone just opened the fridge door on my heart. "Alara," David said, his voice a little too casual, a little too loud. "This is Chloe. She's moving in." My mouth, it just hung open. Moving in? My brain couldn't even make sense of the words. I looked at David, then at Chloe, who was now smiling, really smiling, directly at me. It felt like a punch to the gut, but no sound came out. Like I was watching a bad movie, but I was in it. "What?" I finally managed to whisper, but it sounded thin, like tissue paper. David sighed, like I was being difficult. "Look, Alara, we need to talk. Chloe and we're in love. She's going to live here now." He said it like he was telling me the weather. Just a fact. Chloe stepped forward then, still with that wide, fake-looking smile. "It's so nice to finally meet you, Alara. David's told me all about you." All about me? My whole life felt like it was crumbling into dust right then and there. My hands started to shake. I could feel my face getting hot, then cold. Tears stung my eyes, but I pushed them back. Not in front of her. Not in front of him. I wouldn't give them that satisfaction. "Get out," I said, my voice shaky but firm. "Both of you. Get out of my house." David just laughed, a short, sharp sound. "Our house, Alara. And no, we're not going anywhere. This is our home now." "Our home?" I almost yelled it. "This is my home, David. I paid for half of it. My business helped pay for this." He just shrugged. Chloe stood there, watching, like this was some kind of show for her entertainment. That's when something shifted inside me. The tears, the hurt, the shock, it all hardened into something else. Something cold and clear. They thought they could humiliate me, walk all over me like I was nothing? Like I was some old rug. Oh no, they had another thing coming. I turned my back on them and walked straight to the kitchen, my steps stiff. I needed to think. I needed a plan. My mind wasn't racing, not exactly. It was more like a switch had flipped, and everything was suddenly very, very quiet. The noise of my own pain was suddenly dulled, replaced by a strange calm. I grabbed a glass of water, my hand still trembling a little, but my resolve was firm. I wouldn't scream. I wouldn't beg. I wouldn't cry. Not yet, anyway. I spent the next few days in a fog. David and Chloe acted like I wasn't even there. They laughed, they watched TV, they cooked meals in my kitchen. Chloe even started leaving her things in my bathroom. Each day, it felt like another little piece of my life, my home, was being taken from me. They thought I was just sad, maybe even defeated. I let them think that. I acted quiet, withdrawn. I kept to myself in my studio, working on my jewelry, sending out orders. They probably thought I was moping. Good. Let them think that. But inside, I was busy. Very, very busy. I started making lists. Everything. Our joint accounts, the house deed, David's salary, my business accounts, investments. I pulled out old files, tax returns, bank statements. I called up my old college friend, Lisa, who was a brilliant lawyer. I needed help, but I didn't want anyone else to know what was happening. Not yet. This wasn't going to be some messy, public fight. This was going to be quiet. Lisa listened carefully, her voice calm and professional. Elara, this is, well, it's pretty extreme. But we can build a case. You've been paying into this for years. Your business has grown. We need to document everything. She suggested a private investigator, but I said no. I would be the investigator. I knew David better than anyone. I knew his habits, his schedules, his little secrets. I started paying close attention. I listened to their conversations, noting down names, dates, places. I made copies of every financial document I could find. Every email, every text message I could discreetly access. I was building my case, brick by painful brick. David and Chloe, they were oblivious. They'd go out for dinner or shopping, using money from our joint account. Chloe even started buying things for the house, thinking she was making it her own. New throw pillows, a different vase. Each change felt like a deliberate insult, but I just smiled, a thin, polite smile, and said nothing. I just filed it away. Every single thing they did, every penny they spent, was a piece of evidence. I was quietly moving my own money, too, securing my business accounts, setting things up so that when the time came, they would have nothing. They were living in a fantasy, and I was just waiting for the alarm clock to go off. The air in my own home felt thick, like you could cut it with a knife. But only I could feel it. David and Chloe, they were just happy. Annoyingly happy. Chloe would sing loudly in the shower, sometimes even David's favorite songs, which was another little twist of the knife. He'd bring her flowers, the same kind he used to bring me when we were first dating. I watched them from the corner of my eye, always observing, always collecting. They thought I was just in a daze, a broken woman, maybe even a little crazy, hiding away in my art studio. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted them to think. Elara, are you okay? David would sometimes ask, a strange mix of concern and annoyance in his voice. Like he was doing me a favor by acknowledging my existence. Just fine, David, I'd say, forcing a small smile. Just a lot of work with Elara's gems. Orders are really picking up. Which was true. I was pouring all my energy, all my hurt into my business. Making beautiful things, things that people wanted, things that were mine. It felt like the only part of my life I still controlled. And I was making good money, which was going straight into my new, separate accounts that Lisa helped me set up. Chloe even tried to be friendly sometimes. Oh, that necklace is lovely, Elara. Did you make that? She'd say, poking around in my studio. Yes, I did, I'd reply, not looking up from my work. For a client. It's not for sale. I kept my voice flat, emotionless. I didn't want to engage. Any engagement was a weakness. They wouldn't see my anger, my pain. Not a flicker. My revenge, see, wasn't going to be some dramatic yell fest or a tearful breakdown. No. That's what they probably expected. That's what they'd seen in movies. My revenge was going to be like a quiet, slow-moving storm. One day, the sun would be shining, and the next, everything would be underwater. And they wouldn't even see it coming until the very last second. I'd spend hours on the phone with Lisa, my lawyer. Not from the house, of course. I'd go to the coffee shop down the street, or even just sit in my car in the grocery store parking lot. Okay, Elara, we have all the documentation of your business earnings, your contributions to the mortgage, the joint investments. We can clearly show David's financial negligence and his emotional distress-causing actions, Lisa explained, always so calm, so professional. She even helped me find a new, smaller apartment in a different neighborhood, just to make sure I had a clean exit strategy. I didn't tell David or Chloe about it, of course. My quiet disappearing act was nearly complete. One evening, I overheard David and Chloe talking. They were in the living room, giggling, watching a movie. I just can't believe how easy this has been, Chloe said, her voice light and airy. Elara's just gone almost. She hasn't even fought back. We'll be able to get her out of the house soon enough, I bet. David chuckled. Yeah, she's never been much of a fighter, bless her heart. Always so sweet, so mild-mannered. We'll just offer her a little bit, get her to sign some papers, and then this place is all ours. I mean, who would believe her story anyway? I'm the primary earner. That was the moment. That was the wait. What moment for me. They actually thought I was that weak. That I was just going to roll over and play dead. A hot flush went through me, but it wasn't anger. It was a cold, hard certainty. They had made their mistake. They had underestimated me. And now, they would pay the price. I went back to my studio, my hands moving expertly over a new necklace I was designing. But my mind was far away. I was thinking about the bank accounts David had, the ones he thought I didn't know about. I was thinking about the small, secret loan he'd taken out against our house without my knowledge, thinking I wouldn't find out. Oh, I knew. I knew everything. I'd been quietly tracing every single penny. David wasn't as smart as he thought he was. A week later, I moved out. Quietly. I rented a small storage unit for my furniture and most of my art supplies. My new apartment was bare, but clean, a fresh start. I left a note on the kitchen counter for David. It said, simply, "I'm gone. You'll hear from my lawyer." I took only a few boxes of clothes, my most precious art tools, and my laptop. The house, our house, was left for them. Let them enjoy it for now. Let them think they had won. When David called, his voice was laced with something I couldn't quite place. Surprise? Annoyance? Alara? What is this? What lawyer are you talking about? You'll see, David, I said, my voice completely steady. You'll see. And then I hung up. That was the first real crack in their perfect little world. The game was on. I felt a strange mix of sadness for the end of something that was supposed to be beautiful and a fierce, burning satisfaction. They were about to learn that quiet doesn't mean weak. It means deadly. And I was just getting started. Life in my new, small apartment felt light. Free even. No more tiptoeing around, no more fake smiles. Just me, my business, and a clear path forward. David and Chloe, I knew, were probably still reeling from my note. I imagined them arguing, him probably blaming me for everything. Good. Let them fight. Let them squirm. Because while they were busy playing house, Lisa and I were busy setting the final traps. David's lawyer, a tough-looking woman named Ms. Henderson, had reached out to Lisa pretty quickly. They wanted a quick settlement, of course. Something that would give David most of the assets and leave me with scraps. They clearly thought I was still the sweet, mild-mannered Alara David described. They didn't know I had changed. Not one bit. They're offering you a paltry sum, Alara, Lisa said over the phone, a hint of steel in her voice. About a fifth of what you're legally entitled to, plus they want the house outright, of course. They think you'll just take it. I laughed, a real, genuine laugh that hadn't come from me in months. Oh, they really don't know me at all, do they, Lisa? No, they certainly don't, she agreed. Ready to show them what you've got? More than ready, I replied, a cold thrill running through me. We unleashed everything. The detailed financial records of my business, showing how much I'd contributed to the household income, often more than David. The documentation of the hidden loan he took out against the house, which was a huge no-no. Records of his extravagant spending, supported by my money. The proof that he was draining our joint accounts to support Chloe. Oh, and the cherry on top, David had unknowingly signed a few business documents for my company, Alara's Gems, that gave me certain protections and leverage over joint assets if there was ever a marital dispute. He thought they were just standard forms. He didn't read them. He never read anything. The legal battle escalated fast. David and Chloe were blindsided. Their accounts started freezing, assets became inaccessible. The house, which they thought was theirs, was suddenly entangled in a legal mess. I heard from a mutual friend, someone who was shocked by David's behavior, that they were fighting constantly. David was losing his job because his performance had slipped badly, and his company found out about some of his shady financial dealings. Chloe was upset because the lavish lifestyle she expected had vanished. They were spiraling. And I, Alara, was watching it all from a calm distance, sipping tea in my quiet, humble apartment. Then came the call. About a week ago. My old home phone number popped up on my cell. It was David. His voice wasn't arrogant or annoyed anymore. It was desperate. Alara? Please. We need to talk. We have nowhere to go. Chloe and I were in so much trouble. We were hoping you could maybe help us out? We just need a place to stay, some money to get back on our feet. Just until this all blows over, you know." I paused, letting his words hang in the air. "You want me to comfort you, David? After everything?" "Please, Alara," he pleaded. "We made a mistake. A big mistake. We just need a little help." I thought about the humiliation, the days I spent feeling invisible in my own home. I thought about Chloe's smug smile. I thought about the pain they had so carelessly inflicted. And then I made a choice. "Okay, David," I said, my voice calm, almost sympathetic. "Come to Mr. Albright's office on Friday at 10 a.m. We can talk there." Mr. Albright was Lisa's boss, the head lawyer. I didn't say another word, just hung up. Friday morning came, bright and sunny. I dressed simply, but powerfully. I walked into Mr. Albright's sleek office building, my head held high. Lisa was there, giving me a reassuring nod. And there they were, David and Chloe, looking pale, tired, and, honestly, a little lost. They didn't have that confident sparkle anymore. They looked like two drowned rats, clutching at each other. They seemed to expect a quiet conversation, maybe a plea for forgiveness, then a soft landing. They looked at me, then at Lisa. "Alara, thank goodness," David started, trying to sound relieved. "We were hoping." That's when Mr. Albright walked in. He was a tall man, with a kind but serious face. He didn't offer a handshake. He simply placed a thick folder on the polished conference table. "Mr. David, Miss Chloe," he began, his voice deep and formal. "My client, Alara, has decided on a final resolution." He opened the folder, pulling out several documents. "Due to your proven financial misconduct, fraudulent activities, and deliberate attempts to defraud my client of her rightful marital and business assets, the court has ruled. The house has been fully transferred to Alara. All joint accounts, minus specific and legally mandated distributions, are frozen. Your personal accounts show insufficient funds to cover outstanding debts." He then held up a specific document, a single, official-looking page. "This is a summary of the finalized judgment. It states that all claims you had to Alara's business, assets, and future earnings are null and void. The total value of assets and protections secured for Alara, including the sole ownership of the Maple Creek residence, is in excess of $1 million. David and Chloe froze. Their faces went absolutely white. Their eyes widened, mouths slightly agape. They looked at the document, then at me, then at Mr. Albright, then back at me. There was no sound in the room except the quiet hum of the air conditioning. Chloe's jaw dropped so low I thought it might hit the table. David's eyes darted around, panicked. They showed up expecting comfort, hoping to manipulate me one last time, to find a soft bed to land in. Instead, they found cold, hard reality. They saw Mr. Albright holding those $1 million documents, and they finally understood. What do you mean, bankruptcy?" David stammered, his voice a pathetic squeak. "It means," I said, my voice clear and strong, meeting his gaze directly, "you have nothing left. You quietly moved into my house. So I quietly moved you both into bankruptcy. It's called justice, David." Chloe started to cry, soft, helpless sobs. David just stared, a hollow shell of the man he once was. I stood up, feeling a strength I hadn't felt in years. "My business, Alara's Gems, is thriving. My new life is exactly what I wanted it to be. You made your bed. Now you can lie in it." I turned to leave, not looking back. The door clicked shut behind me. It was over. All arcs closed. All questions answered. This was my revenge, quiet, precise, and absolute. It wasn't about hate anymore. It was about reclaiming my life, my self-worth, and my future. It was about making them understand that you don't mess with a woman who builds her own empire, gem by beautiful gem. If you've ever had to fight for what's yours, for your dignity, tell me your story in the comments. I'd love to hear it.